Okay, so tonight is our last call for our Dash to Your Booty to Diamond group, and we are so excited because we've had an awesome turnout. We've had a lot of people pushing really hard. Christine, yay, and Dakota both have hit Diamond. So excited for them. And Emmy, I heard you signed like 3 coaches last night, and you have 7 coaches, so you're super close to Diamond. That's all super exciting. And I know that Heather and you've been busting your butt, and she gets up at 4:30 in the morning to get her power hour and her workout done before she goes to work. So so many of you guys are just rocking it, and so it has not gone unnoticed, and we're so excited for all of you. So tonight, what we're talking about, and I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody, and then you guys, when you need to talk, just unmute yourself. Okay, so tonight we are talking about sharing your story, being real. Crap, is there something else I said? Sharing your story and being real. Okay, am I forgetting something? And Ashley, Lindsay, and Alexis Henriksen are going to be bringing that to us, and they are both Diamond coaches, rocking their business, really good at kind of putting themselves out there. They're both moms. Alexis has 2 little babies, and Ashley has 3, all crazy little babies, and so they're running around like crazy, getting to be a stay-at-home mom, but also working their business. So they're going to kind of talk to you about how they, you don't want to come across as a mom that has it all together, that, oh, look at me, I'm awesome, I made a 4-course meal, I curled my hair today, I did this, and that's not what you want to put across, because that's not real and that's not realistic. So people want to know that they can do this business. If you can do it, they can. And they also want to know that you have a story, and you weren't just, born with a 6-pack or anything like that. And so, Alexis, you shared your story the other day, and it had been a while since I saw that. I forgot you had lost so much weight. So she'll tell you a little bit about her weight loss as well, but she's had an awesome transformation and looks great. And Ashley has now 2 post-babies that she's, gotten her post-baby bod back with Beachbody. So she's got some awesome testimonials for her to, share and talk about and be a product of the product. So they are going to kind of talk to you more about why it's so important to be yourself, to be real, to share your story, and to make sure that you're doing it often, because you're always getting new followers. So it's not like, oh, well, I shared my story last month. Nope, you got to keep doing it. And this is something that I'm really guilty of. I don't feel that I do it enough. I can do the real and vulnerable things, but sharing my story is something that I also need to get better at doing. So I'm excited to hear from them. So I will let you guys hand it off to you and let you hear what you want to teach us tonight.
All right. I'll go first, Alexis, this time. But I have a feeling that we're probably going to say a lot of the same things, because she's going to talk more about being real, and I'm going to talk about sharing your story. But we'll probably talk a lot about the same things, but that's okay, because you're just going to hear it twice. And it's probably important that if we both bring it up. When you share your story, I guess just a couple tips. I really didn't put together anything like a PowerPoint or anything, but you want to at least get your story out there to start with. And I kind of feel like there's a couple levels of your story. A lot of times people are like, I don't have a story. I don't know what the heck to talk about. So you want to figure out something that about your past maybe, or where you were before Beachbody, something that you struggled with really bad. Whether it was your life, with your family, or you as a person, an eating disorder, or a bunch of stuff, anything you could think of, really. I had a really hard time trying to figure out what it would have been if I didn't have this certain thing happen to me. But I feel like everyone has something. And what you want to do for your first level is find that thing. And I'll tell you a little more about my story after I kind of go through this. But after you figure out what that is, your next level is kind of you want to figure out the pain that you felt during that time. And you want to know, and you want to be able to share with people exactly those feelings. If it was something really, really messy, that's a good thing. If it was something that you tried to forget about and erase from your mind, that's probably what you want to tell them, because there's probably tons and tons of other people out there that are feeling that way, and they want to see that you are too. So you want to, get to that pain level, what really hurt, or, your feelings, things like that. And then your next level for your story, it's going to be when Beachbody came into your life, how that connection happened, why you decided to finally give it a shot. And then for your fourth level, it's going to be kind of like where you are now that Beachbody has been in your life, or where you see yourself going in this path. So you really need to focus on that, like step 1 and 2, what happened, how you felt during that. And then, kind of get into 3 and 4 where Beachbody is like saving you, things like that. You don't want to come off as perfect, because no one can relate to perfect. If we sit here and talk about all the trips that we get to go on, or summit, or, the cruise and all this awesome stuff that Beachbody does for us, that's fine. But people don't really care because that's not happening for them. So they're like, well, that's cool for you, but like my life still sucks. So you want to find something that is going to help you connect with people. Something that is really going to make them stop and be like, oh my God, like I feel this way too. That's totally what happened to me, or that's exactly how I feel. But now you're actually doing something about it, and you're getting over that. And they want to be able to come over that too. Because the whole point of sharing your story is you want to connect with someone so that you can help them join your teams and become this better person too. Most likely, if they're not in Beachbody or something like this, they're not doing any personal development at all. And maybe that's somewhere that you'll be able to help them as a coach, is, they get to do that and try to become this better person. You eventually, you want to become like transparent. You want, like, I think actually Alexis said this before. We basically have our own reality show on social media, and you want to share that so people are going to connect with you. Kind of, I don't know, I guess they always say like turn your mess into your message. So that's kind of how you want to focus on what your actual story is. So for me, my whole life, I just wanted babies. I wanted to be a mom. People were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, a stay-at-home mom. They're like, oh, you dream big. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Like, I don't want to go do this. I don't want to go to work. I just want to raise babies all day. And I want 12 of them. Like, not 1, not 2. I want 12. And they all thought I was crazy and had no goals and no dreams, whatever. I didn't care. That's what I wanted to do. And honestly, I still would do it. But, so, and then after high school, I did the whole college thing. I actually went to college to play lacrosse. I got a scholarship, went to play lacrosse. I didn't care about school at all. I went to 3 years of college to be a teacher, decided it didn't pay me enough. So then I decided to switch to nursing, graduated from nursing school with 0 intentions of becoming a nurse. I don't want to be a nurse at all. Not one bit. I wanted to help people, and nursing wasn't the way. Healthcare is not the same anymore as it was back then. It's just different, and I was sad every time I went. So that's where I went. So finally, I got married. We were so excited. We were together, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years before we got married. So then we were like, we want babies right away. And so I got pregnant and was so excited, and I was like, woo, shared it with everyone. And then I had a miscarriage. It's like, oh my God, okay, well, that's embarrassing. Like, I just put it down on social media. Well, then I realized that once I did that the first time, I had a bunch of people come to me. Oh my God, I had a miscarriage too. I never knew. Like, I never knew any of these people at all. I never knew any of them had miscarriages. I never knew that miscarriages were common. I felt really, really lost for a while until all these people started coming to me because they knew I had one. When all of a sudden I was like, well, I'm not pregnant anymore. So anyhow, then, a little bit later, a couple months later or so, I got pregnant again. Woo! This is it. Like, what are the odds that it's going to happen again? Not at all. So I made this really cute video. My husband, he came home from work, and I had this box, and I had a cute little onesie. You're going to be a dad. Yeah. Videotaped it. Shared it on Facebook. Woo, we're pregnant again. And then I had a miscarriage again. I was like, what in the world? This isn't supposed to happen again. Like, what's going on? This is what I want to do. I want to be a mom. Yada, yada. And I posted on Facebook again. It's not my time to be a mom yet. I had another miscarriage. And tons more people were inboxing me like, oh my God, I did too. You know, I have two. I have one in heaven. I have this, yada, yada, yada. I would have never known any of that had I not put it on Facebook, had I not tried to connect with someone else. I was lost until those people came and told me that they could relate to me, that they knew what I was going through. I was sharing my story there, you know, and doing that. Well, fast forward. Okay, so I got pregnant the third time. This, you know, whatever. I shared it twice. It happened. I'm going to share it again. Why not? You know, maybe this is going to be it. So, you know, every bathroom trip, you know, you're freaked out like, oh my God, like, wipe, you're going to wipe. Please don't be blood. Please don't be blood. You get a cramp. You're like, oh my God, don't move, don't move. You don't want to jump. You don't want to move. You don't want to sneeze because you might pop a kid out. You know, you just don't want to do anything. So then we made it, you know, a couple months. And then a couple more months, and then, you know, you go to that sonogram, and they can't find the heartbeat, and you're like, oh, my God, and they're rushing you down for something else. And then they find it, and you're good. You're back, and you're good. So then the month before Weston, my first son, the month before he was born, I got an ear infection. And during that time, my entire half of my face went paralyzed. Just half. Like, I was eating dinner, laughing, and all of a sudden I was like, this side is not laughing. And then I laughed harder because I was like, what is going on? Like, this is so cool. Like, I had no idea what was going on. And my mom was like, I called my mom, like, Mom, I can't feel my side of my face at all. What is going on? And she's like, oh my God, you need to go to the hospital. So I go, and they told me, they thought I had a stroke at first, and I didn't. And they told me it's called Bell's palsy, and it will come back probably within 3 weeks. The latest is probably 3 months. It happens all the time. Here's some steroids, take this, yada, yada. Okay, so I was like, that means that before the baby comes, it will be gone. I got 3 weeks to get back to normal, and then I'm going to have this baby, and I'm going to be the happiest mom ever that I always wanted to be, and we're going to take lots of cute pictures all the time, and I am not going to wear a hospital gown in the hospital because I hate them, and I'm going to take a nightgown so I look cute in my pictures, and I'm going to take my makeup and my brush, and it didn't go away. Like, what in the world? So, you know, delivery day comes, and this is me holding up my smile so that, you know, I looked happy for these pictures for my son because I didn't want him to look back and think I wasn't happy to have him. You know, that's all I wanted. And I was happy to have him. So then, you know, he comes and all the pictures I'm like this and all the pictures I'm taking from just this side, kissing him so he can't see this side when he looks back in his pictures because I didn't want him to think I didn't want him. That's all I wanted. So then, you know, a month goes by, it's Christmas, and a week goes by after I have him, and I'm sitting at home recovering, and I'm talking to my sister-in-law who brought me breakfast, and I'm like, man, I just can't talk right today. I just keep mumbling. You know what is going on? And I was like, the other side of my face, it's happening. It's going out. So I went to the hospital when my son was 1 week old, and I got to live in the hospital for a while with a brand new baby at home that I wanted really bad, and this entire side of my face was gone. It was just a blank stare. My eyes didn't close. My smile was nothing but sagging. Everything was drooping. My eyebrows, I couldn't wiggle them. I couldn't blink. When I'd sleep, my eyes were like this, like creepy, disgusting, like embarrassing. Yeah. So now I went through Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, basically the first 6 months of my son's life hiding from every picture that I had to be in. Didn't want anything to do with it. I would take a picture with him and I looked miserable. So I didn't want to be in them. And then, you know, eventually they started to come back. That's a whole other thing. But that's basically how my story went. You know, I had the miscarriages and then I had that whole facial paralysis thing. And what that is when I share that, it's not that I had a paralyzed face. It's not that I had miscarriages. What I'm sharing is that I had struggles. Is that I know what it's like to look in the mirror and absolutely hate who you see. To look in the mirror all of a sudden one day and be like, that is not who I just saw for 23 years. That is not me. That is someone completely different. And to hate who you are, instead of getting into family pictures, is to hide in family pictures. Is to be the one, I'll just take them. I'll just take the pictures. You guys get in, I'll just take them. And to fill your kid's, you know, first year of his life, his little photo album with you hiding in those pictures, that's not who I wanted to be at all. And this is how I can relate to other people. There's so many other people. They didn't have their face go paralyzed. That happens to 0.1% of humans. The second side happens to even less than that. And so they're not going to really relate to that. But what they're going to relate to is hiding in family pictures, is saying, when I lose 20 pounds, then I'll get in a picture. and then that never happens. And so you want to be able to find something that is really, really, really going to help you relate and connect to people. Because all the time I'm so into positive, good vibes on my page. Happy, happy, happy. But then all of a sudden you want to share your story and you want to tell them what happened and what's going on. All these people are following you. They think you're just a Beachbody coach or, you know, just a mom. And then you share a story and they're like, holy crap, woo, something bad happened to this girl. Yes, like she's not perfect. That's what they want. People love conflict and they love when they can relate to it with you. So you really, really, really just need to make sure you figure out your story and you need to share it often. I don't share mine enough, and it's probably because it's so hard for me, because I still struggle with it because half my face still doesn't work very well. And I think that's why I need to share it more, but it's just something I'm still learning. And, you know, it's hard when you go from being, you know, called Miss Happy at work to where the heck is your smile? What's wrong? And you're like, I'm smiling. You just can't tell. But you just really, really, really need to keep sharing your story and being consistent. You're adding people to your network all the time and expanding your network all the time. So if you shared your story last week, how many people are you adding every single day? 5 people? That's a piece of cake to add to. So 5 times 7, that's 35 people that have not seen your story that you just shared last week. That's why it's so important to keep on sharing it. I don't really know if I have much more, so I'm going to let Alexis take over and see if she has anything that I can maybe go off then, but that's about it for sharing your story for me.
I love that. I remember back before, like, I really knew who Ashley was, she did shared her story about Bell's palsy. And I had that too. I had it after I gave birth to my first daughter. And I remember reading it and I was like, there's no way somebody else in the world had this. And it was just so weird that, like, her and I were brought together through Beachbody, but I didn't really know that about her until I saw it. So yeah, share it more because it'll make me share it more. So being real, like April said in the beginning of the call, I actually tried to be too perfect in the beginning. You know, I was stalking some of the top coaches and they were perfect. You know, they always had their hair done, their makeup done. They were stay-at-home moms. You know, most of their kids were older and in school, so they got to do those kinds of things. And so I tried to do that. And, you know, I was waking up at 4 a.m. and working out and doing my power hour before my kids were even awake. And I started getting these messages all of a sudden from people, and they were, you know, thanking me for being so inspiring. And, you know, that felt really great. But then they were like, you are just Supermom. I don't know how you do it all. And like the first time I got that, I was like, well, thanks. Like, cause I don't feel like I have it all together. So, you know, the fact that you think I do makes me feel good. But then it started being really consistent and people started commenting that on my post publicly. And I really started thinking, this isn't what I want to be. I don't want people to think I'm Supermom because I'm not. You know, I have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I babysit a 3-month-old and a 4-month-old, and my house is chaotic every single day. There's literally never a quiet moment. So why am I sitting here with these posts that don't show that? And so recently, like, I made a post the other day about being a hot mess mom, and so many people relate to that way more because they feel like they're a hot mess too. And I feel like if I'm trying to find the perfect coach or someone that I really want on my team, I want a hot mess mom. I don't want that perfect mom because her and I aren't going to relate to each other because I'm not perfect. And so, you know, I used to clean up the background, or I used to make my bed before I took my picture. Now I just am doing it whatever, and I don't care what's in the background. Normally there's kids in the background or a mess or toys that they've made. You know, one day I posted a picture of my kids' playroom that was completely demolished, and people loved it. Like, so many moms commented on it. And I've noticed that the more real I am and the less perfect I try to be, the more, you know, likes and comments I get on my posts. And that just opens up the conversation for me to message someone, and like instantly we have something to talk about. It doesn't have to be so forced, if that makes any sense. And, you know, it's hard to put those blinders on and not focus so much on those top coaches, because sometimes, you know, I'll be laying in bed and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to post about. I really need, like, you know, a coach post. And so I'll start stalking, you know, Bonnie Engel or Melanie Mitro. And, you know, sometimes I get so wrapped up in trying to copy their posts versus, you know, taking it and putting a spin on it and making it really come from me. And so I definitely am guilty of not sharing my story enough. I quit my job in May. And when I first came home, I really boosted myself for completing college with 2 kids. And I graduated honors, and I was like so excited. But I never shared that originally I dropped out of college. When I was 18, I went to Ball State, and my dad paid for the whole thing. I went for a month, I flunked, and I quit, and I lost out on all that money. I had my college paid for. And my dad was like, all right, that's it. If you want to go to college, you have to pay for it. And so now I have all the student debt because I had to pay for it myself. That was my punishment for dropping out. I don't share that. And I don't know why. I need to, because, that's real. Sitting there saying that I got a degree and I got honors with 2 kids is all great, but, that's not being real, because before I dropped out, So I'm kind of preaching to the choir, talking to myself here, but I think it's just really important to be who you are. People on your timeline, they're following you for a reason, and they're going to connect with you for a reason. And you'll start noticing the same people like and comment on your stuff repeatedly. And that's because you're making a connection with them. You're speaking to them. And those are the kinds of people that, will make perfect coaches for you. So yeah, I don't really have anything else. I'm kind of out of breath. Me and all my kids are sick right now, so I apologize.
I know. I thought I was going to ask you. You sounded sick, poor thing. So thank you for hopping on this when you're sick and your babies are sick.
Of course.
Okay, so I love that, and that I didn't know that either about you, Alexis. So that's cool to hear both of your stories. So I'm going to make you hold each other accountable that you're going to both share part of your story this week. And then I'm going to pair up Danielle and Molly to make sure that you two make sure each other shares part of your story this week. And then, hey, Dakota, I see you just hopped on. I'm going to have Emmy Lou and Heather. You guys have to check in on each other this week to make sure that you share part of your story. And then Christine and Dakota, you guys are success partners, so make sure that you are checking in on each other. And so you're all going to make sure that you all know that you have to share a part of your story this week. All right, so what would you say, and just in a nutshell, your part of your story is? So I'll get it from Christine, Emmy, Heather, and Dakota first. What would you say, a quick little tidbit about your story that you think that you need to share more? Christine, I'll start with you.
Okay. I was actually just thinking about this and talking to Dakota about this. So I think there's actually a lot about my story that people haven't heard. I think I told Sarah, even including her. So I think a lot of people kind of know that I'm going through a divorce right now, and it's been really tough on me financially. And what I haven't shared publicly at all is that there have been so many weeks where my account would have been negative if it wasn't for my Beachbody check, or that it was negative and my Beachbody check brought it positive. I think I actually shared that with Zach and not Sarah. And Zach said post about it, and I haven't been able to do that yet. So that is something that I would like to share.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And it's not about like, hey, here's my first paycheck, blah, 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 blah. It's like, this is what it means to me, that I'm helping people and it's helping me, support my daughter. So it's, sometimes money it can feel like icky, but when you talk about it and talk about your struggles as well, that's when people can really connect with you. It's not about like, oh, I'm rolling in the dough. It's like, this is, how it helped me. So I think that would be awesome. And that's, so many other people out there connect because they're barely living, paycheck to paycheck. So I think that's awesome. So yeah, that's awesome. Emmy Lou, how about you? What part of your story do you want to share this week?
Probably, I have really, really bad anxiety all the time. Like I developed it in college, and I'm like just terrified of so many things, and I don't know why. And I have just anxiety attacks all the time, which, like, I take antidepressants. I don't know if they work. I don't know if they help. They might a little, but I know that working out and being able to work from home, it like eases my anxiety more than having to, you know, be somewhere all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say it's like social anxiety?
Yeah, kind of. Like I'm speaking publicly is like terrifying, but I can be in social settings perfectly fine. So I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And I have a lot of anxiety too. And I actually didn't even know I had anxiety most of my life until I went to counseling like last year. I just thought everybody was like that and that was normal. So and it's just like I just have anxiety about everything. So yeah, I totally feel you on that. But definitely talk about it and post about it, because it's not something that a ton of people talk about, because nobody wants to be labeled as, you know, mentally unstable. So I think it's so important taking these, you know, taboo topics and just talking about it and letting people know that they can relate to you, and that, you know, so many people look at you and just see, you know, oh, Emmy, she has it all together. So it's really important to kind of take yourself down and put yourself, you know, a lot of people see you working out and doing this and doing that, and they look up to you and you're such an inspiration to them. So it's really important to try to really just take yourself down. And, you know, I'm not saying you're nobody special, but basically, like, I struggle just like you. And I think that a lot of times on social media, people see your highlight reel and then they think, like, I have so many people that are like, I could never do what you do. I'm like, Lily, you have no idea. I don't even brush my hair most days. Like, you could definitely do this. So, I think that sometimes people just have this perspective that that we have it all together because we're health coaches and we post about our workouts. And so, yeah, it's definitely important to put it out there. So who did I pair you up with? Heather?
Heather, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys have to keep each other. So Heather, what would you say your story share? And I don't know if I've seen much of your story, or if you have posted it, maybe I just haven't seen it.
I have always struggled with my weight, and even not even necessarily that I have been super overweight, but I've always seen myself as super overweight. I had anorexia since middle school, and took every diet pill that I possibly could, and so that's pretty much that was my biggest struggle. Tried every single diet under the sun. I've always just really had a bad self-image, and just a skewed, I guess, self-image. So every time I looked at myself in the mirror, it was just not who I really was and what I really saw. And then I'd see pictures of myself and like freak out, So anyway, just basically my self-image struggle. And ever since getting in this program and really focusing and dialing in my exercise, really. I mean, I've always been kind of conscious about the kinds of foods that I eat, but I guess portions and exercise was the stuff that I was missing out on. So once I'm definitely not like where I want to be as far as, I guess my weight, but I'm so much happier with just the way that I feel about myself. I don't talk negatively, about myself when I see myself in the mirror, and I don't hide from pictures like I did. And, so I guess that's mainly my struggle.
I think that would be awesome. And I think that would be really awesome too, to kind of pair into, as your daughter's getting older and, you don't want her to see that and her, because, and this is something that my mom has always done. She's always talked negatively about herself, and she's always just had bad self, confidence. And, so you look up at your parents and you think they're like amazing. They're awesome. They're your superheroes. And when you think they're beautiful and they're, super mom, and they're like, oh, I'm so ugly, I'm so fat, I'm so this, and you hear that, you think that that's normal, and you think like, well, if I think she's, amazing, and she's saying that, what am I? So I think that, that's a really good way to also kind of pair it and look at it that way too, and kind of talk about like, I'm so glad that I did this for me so that I also can do it for her. kind of thing. So I think that's a good way to look at it.
Absolutely. And my mom, I mean, the same way. My mom was always, I mean, she did every single diet under the sun, was constantly talking about, and she would have us, she'd ask us like, hey, look at me and then look at that woman. How am I? Am I bigger than her? Am I smaller than her? Ever since we were little. And I mean, I don't fault her for that. She didn't know any better, but obviously I've never wanted to speak about that in front of my daughter, about my weight or anything. But just her to see, I mean, she's constantly telling me how proud of her. How proud of her. No, she is of me.
I know what you mean.
And I mean, that's worth more than anything to me. So.
Oh, I love that. How much weight have you lost, Heather?
20.
That is so awesome. Yeah, make a post about that. And so you can do a transformation and then share your story. But not message me for info. Like literally you're just making your story what we're sharing.
All right.
Love that. Thank you. Okay, so Ashley, do you need to go before you forget? Do you need to talk before you forget?
So I realized I shared my story, but I didn't tell you that was level 1 and 2. But don't forget to go into 3 and 4. So when Beachbody came into your life, how it saved you, how it brought me out of a deep dark hole of hating myself, knowing that after having a baby I was going to feel even worse about myself and my body, and that how Beachbody was kind of I went for it, and because I got the confidence from that, it really helped me get out of everything, and the personal development and everything, and then kind of where you are now. So don't forget 3 and 4. The whole reason they're sharing your story is not just to share your story, but to tie in where Beachbody came and helped you.
Right. And you want to kind of leave it as a motivational post at the end, you want to end your post as I did it and you can do it too, or that kind of thing, and not you don't want to leave somebody wow, this girl is messed up. That is not the point of you sharing your story. I have some people, when they were first sharing their story, some new coaches, they'll send me this and it's 4 pages long, and I'm like, girl, you're just gonna freak people out. We need to just share bits and pieces. We're all hot messes, but we don't want to just vomit it on everybody, because people will just be like, I don't even know what to do with that. So that's why it's also important. That's why we say kind of share bits and pieces of your story, and motivating and inspiring people, and then you can share a different part of your story, the next week kind of thing. So yeah, and putting a positive spin on it, because you want to think, okay, what do I want them to get out of this, and that I was able to get myself out of that hole, and I'm here to help if you need. All right, so Dakota, what part of your story are you going to share? You're muted. Sorry, I muted everyone.
This has come up a couple of times this week, and it wasn't until then that I realized I hadn't really given it a lot of thought. So I struggled a little bit with exercise addiction in college, probably 6 years ago. And then I decided to compete in my first bodybuilding show in April, which was amazing. And I thought I prepared well mentally and got to a point where I was okay to do that. But coming out of it was incredibly difficult. I still get a little bit emotional talking about it, but I never thought that I would be a person who found myself binge eating. And I guess no one ever does, but binge eating and being super depressed over my body, it's really hard to go from being in the best shape of your life, but probably not healthy, and knowing that you need to gain weight and that's what's good for you, but watching the scale climb, and you like your body is maybe what people are even working for, and logically that, but you still hate it every time you don't even look in the mirror. And so that's where I was at, and I knew that I was always I love the gym, so I was a little bit hesitant to do the whole Beachbody thing, but I knew that I needed a change, and it has been absolutely everything for me, from the uplifting and positive attitude of everybody, people I don't even know, and just being able to share my story and let everybody know I am not perfect. I think working in fitness and having done that show, which got people to ask me questions about that, I always joke with people
if I were to drink a shake every single day, people wouldn't bat an eye. But if I eat a piece of cake in the presence of anyone, they're like, what are you doing? Like, the world is coming to an end. And I don't want that to be people's perception of me. I want them to realize that I'm human. And so this has been an avenue on which I can share that and relate to people on that level. And I don't know, just the turning point for me this week was that Sarah asked me a question about talking to a girl who competed, and I realized like I hadn't thought about that, and for so long I was obsessed with that and that body and that mindset and getting to the gym and perfect workouts and perfect nutrition, and I haven't given that a thought in months. So that was a point where when I was in that moment, I never thought I would get back to this place, and relieved to be here.
Yeah, I love that. I can so relate to that. I had exercise addiction and bulimia, anorexia, like just everything in college, and went through phases. And I remember just it consumes your whole life. And I think that when you had suffered that exercise addiction, and then you went to training, for your competition, and it's just so. When you have that mindset that, especially when you're like, were you using like MyFitnessPal to track your like macros and all that, when you're so obsessed with it, it's literally consumes you. And that's all you can think about. And when people ask you to go to social events, all you think about is, well, what will I eat? How will I do this? And it's not you. It's like, it's something that's literally taken over you. And that's all, that you think about. And I just think that it's so important to, it's cool to look back and see, oh my gosh, I don't even think about that life anymore. And it's cool to see, how far you've come, because it really is something that's not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's not something that you felt like you could enjoy. Like, yeah, you were awesome and you looked great, but if you think about the happiness and the freedom and, the less stress that you have now, it's really cool. So that's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely share that too, because one, it's going to be, people are going to say, oh, I just look at you and think like, you had this awesome physique and you just, it just came naturally to you to, do all that. I didn't realize it was, stressful for you. And it's important to let people know that, I didn't just love every second of it, and I'm happier now, maybe without as the six pack I had then, kind of thing. So definitely share that, as people sometimes, maybe they're scrolling through your Instagram and they think, oh, she's a fitness competitor, I could never be like her. So it's really important, like I said, taking yourself down and putting yourself on everybody else's level.
And I think that even if I would decide to go that direction again, like a year from now or whenever it may be, like this opportunity has put me in a place where I'm much better prepared to deal with coming out of it and knowing that there's something else for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And knowing that there's just getting your mentality right is so important before you would go back and do it again. I think that would make a huge difference. So
yeah.
Also, I don't know if you've ever taken a look at it, but the Countdown to Competition meal plan, there's actually some people that use that with the 21-Day Fix Extreme 2 and Body Beast a lot of times for their fitness competing meal plan too, which is pretty cool. Okay, and then last we've got Danielle and Molly. Danielle, who are you talking to over there? I'll let Molly go first. Yeah, you can finish your conversation, whatever you're doing. So,
I was talking to your sister. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe Jason was there. You're talking to him.
No.
All right. So, what part of your story are you guys going to share? I love this. I feel like I'm going to cry like 17 times on this call tonight. So you guys tell me what part of your story you're going to share this week.
Do you want me to go?
Sure.
I need to do it. I just need to figure out how to word it. I was going through my laptop the other day and I found all of my reports from when I did a research paper in college, and I did it on diet pills and like how dangerous diet pills were, especially for young women. And I remember there was like 20 of us in this class. Probably 15 of them were girls, and 13 of those 15 wrote their research papers on an eating disorder, diet pills, like struggling with weight. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, it's not just me. Like everybody did their report on something related to hating their body. So I was just going to do it on that, and then just do like I'm actually going to hopefully do it tonight and do like a transformation Tuesday on how I used to hate myself, and anything that was marketed towards weight loss, I would try it. And now I don't try and worry about the scale so much, just try to be healthy.
Good. I love that. And the biggest thing I think too is for people to really truly relate to you when you're sharing your story is to not turn it into a challenge group invite, is to literally just share your story and turn it into something motivating, and not turn it into a challenge. Not say, I'm sharing this so you'll join me. Saying, I'm sharing this because I went through this and you can do it too, kind of thing. So good. All right, Molly, last but not least, tell me yours.
Well, so my story, I guess, is more of a business story. I think you all know it, but I don't share it as often as I should. I probably share it like once a month, and it needs to be like once a week. But I was a restaurant manager for a corporate restaurant, a company that I worked for 8 years. And it was awful, to say the least. I was treated like crap, paid like crap. Well, not really, but the hours that I worked made the pay crap. I was working anywhere from 65 to 80 hours a week, no bonuses, no overtime, no nothing. Most days I would work no less than 14 hours. Rarely did I get a break during those 14 hours, even to sit down and eat. My boss kept dangling a promotion in front of me that I thought I wanted. And, you know, I was kind of like a rat chasing cheese, only to get caught in the trap, because I really never was going to get the promotion. The promotion didn't actually even exist. It was just a way for my boss to get me to do more work without giving me a raise. When I first started with Beachbody, I started as a customer. I had mentioned to April's husband that I really needed to lose the weight that I put on because of all of the stress that my job was giving me. I was about 105 pounds when I moved to North Carolina for the job, and in probably about 6 months, I was 125 pounds because I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating right, I was eating fast food. So I started as a challenger, then turned into a coach, and I worked my butt off, literally from night till dawn, or whatever that saying is. And was able to quit my job. I do still work part-time, but I only work about 20, 25 hours a week now, and I'm only bartending, which is awesome. And Beachbody has given me the opportunity to, basically my Beachbody paycheck goes to all of my bills, which is a really nice feeling right now. You know, I have my reminders in my calendar, you know, pay Verizon, pay cable, pay X, and I just take it. I have a separate bank account for my Beachbody, and it just goes right out of that. And it's nice to have that extra money right now to do that, because I did take a very large pay cut by quitting my job. So, but we're making it work.
Yay! How is your new place?
Oh, I love it. It's a hodgepodge of random things right now, but it's really nice.
Good. For you.
And Beachbody helped me get out of the ghetto. Yeah.
Yay. I used to live in the same apartment complex that you. University in general is just a hot mess. But
yeah.
What part of town are you in now?
I'm about 10 minutes outside of Uptown.
Oh, fun. Okay. All right. So, does anybody have any other questions about sharing your story or anything like that, or anything that you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it, that we can help you with, or you all feel pretty comfortable with doing it? It might be scary. I remember the first time I shared my story about eating disorder, I was at a Chalene Johnson event, and I was sitting. So this is the third year I've gone, so it was 3 years ago, and I was sitting there, and she was saying, think about the darkest moment in your life that you can possibly think about, like the point where you felt the lowest low, and that is what's going to set you into the stratosphere. And so for me, I remember picturing I was at home over college, and I remember making myself throw up in a trash can in my room, and I broke a blood vessel in my eye because I was, literally like binging and purging so much this like one summer that I was home, and I had to get my wisdom teeth out. So I was a hot mess with that. I had this broken blood vessel in my eye. We went to the beach. I looked disgusting. I felt disgusting. It was probably like the lowest point. It definitely was the lowest point of my life. I, had just got out of a bad relationship. I had no self-confidence. I hated everything about myself. And so that was what came to mind. And so I was sitting there and I was putting together a, transformation photo, and I had never shared my story before. I didn't, when I was writing that story, I wasn't still suffering from eating disorders, but I had literally never told my mom. Like, the only people that knew I even suffered with it, even though it was years past, was like my best friends and my sister. And that was it. And only a couple of them ever knew that I was going through it when I was going through it. Most of them knew after the fact. So I was like, I have to do this. And I remember literally feeling like I was going to throw up. I remember thinking I was going to faint. I was like literally fanning myself. I still get hot thinking about it right now. I don't know how I'm going to share this. And that's how my mom found out that I had an eating disorder. Was I made a post on Facebook, and I got such a response from people that were like, I never would have guessed that from you. I always looked up to you. You were always so fun, so positive, so happy. And I just got such an overwhelming response from other people that suffered with it too. And, people that just said, I'm so sorry. I wish I would have known that you were hurting, that I could have helped you, you along, because I just, looked up to you so much or loved you so much. And so the overwhelming support that you get from it, and the people that finally say, I felt like you were talking like I was writing that. That is why you do what you do, because that's those people that are then going to be so much more connected to you and want to know exactly what you're doing, because now they see themselves in you. And so it's just so important, because, people want to be with other people that they feel that they can relate to, and they feel like are in their corner, and you can understand. A lot of times, because I don't have a huge, weight loss story. I mean, I've lost about 30 pounds, but because I don't have a huge weight loss story, some people look at me and they say, well, I would kill to be the size you were when you started. So I have to connect with them on an emotional level, because I can't send them my before and after. They're like, girl, you look fine. If I could look like your before, I would be ecstatic. So I don't share my before and afters. Like, when I'm talking to people, I always share my sisters, because people don't connect with that, but they connect with you as a person. So you have to put your emotional part out there, regardless of your weight loss struggle and things like that. So, okay. So I didn't know this call would last so long, but I think it was really, really, really awesome and really, really powerful. So I will make sure that I post the recording, and make sure you tag your success partners, your coaches, and anybody else that you think would benefit from this. So I'm sorry for taking up a whole hour of your night, but make sure that you check in on the person I paired you up with, and they know exactly what day and time that you are going to make your short story share, and again, do it again in a week and a different part of your story. So share your story and share it often, and make it into something that's going to inspire other people. So, have a great night. Happy 1st of November. Congrats on kicking butt, and this whole month, post your trackers. Don't stop until Thursday. See what you can do. Hitting diamond, and we're here for you if you guys have any questions at all. So have a great night. Thank you so much for hopping on. Bye.